everybody. Hey, my nurse baes. My name is Brittany and you are watching A Dose of Nurse Bae. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you are new to my channel, I am a registered nurse and an international board certified lactation consultant. I make videos about nursing, breastfeeding, lifestyle, and pretty much anything I think is beneficial and uplifting to the collective. This channel is meant to be a sisterhood, a mutual exchange. So if you're down for the journey, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification so that you can be notified whenever I release new videos. So today's video is going to be a request from, I will put her name in the link. One of my nurse baes requested that I do a video on breastfeeding for twins. Okay, so double trouble. No, I shouldn't say double trouble. I should say double fun. We are going to talk about breastfeeding twins and how you can get off to the best start possible when it comes to being blessed with two for the price of one. All right, so number one thing I'm going to recommend is that you get started early. I recommend this in pretty much every single video. The sooner that you can initiate breastfeeding, the better. Ideally, you are initiating breastfeeding within the first hour after the babies are born. This is really going to just kick off that process of getting your body going with making more milk. The more that your babies feed, the more milk you should begin producing as the days go on. Okay, so that's number one. If you have questions, lean, okay, I want to say lean on your nurses, lean on your IBCLC. A lot of hospitals have lactation consultants available to support you with breastfeeding. If you're delivering at home and at a birthing center, oftentimes you can get in contact with a lactation consultant in your own community. That is what I would really recommend, especially with twins, because it can be a little bit more challenging. You're not dealing with one baby, you're dealing with two, and the babies sometimes can have different levels of how they breastfeed. So you may have one baby that's a really strong nurser, and you may have another baby that maybe needs a little bit more support at the breast. So you have to treat the babies as an individual, and it's always helpful to have someone who is knowledgeable about this area to support you along that journey. So with that being said, I do offer virtual breastfeeding basics classes online. Every month I offer a breastfeeding basics class, and I also do virtual breastfeeding consultations. So if you're interested in those services, definitely check out my website. I'll put the link in the description box below. If you need hands-on assistance, I encourage you, find someone in your area that can support you in that. And just use your resources, okay? So that's a takeaway right there. Use your resources. When it comes to twins, it is important that you are in a good position. Feeding always goes better when mom is comfortable. So you definitely will want to use things like pillows to support you and the babies. You also do not have to nurse both babies at the same time. Yes, it can save you time, but there are levels to breastfeeding. When you're first starting off, it may be helpful for you to nurse one baby at a time. There's no right or wrong. You can nurse the babies both at the same time if you can find a position that works well for you, maybe a football hole where one baby's on one side, one baby's on the other. You may need a lot of support in the beginning with people helping you to position them until you feel more comfortable, but you're going to work on that, okay? It takes time, it takes patience, and it takes repetition. Remember, you and the babies are learning together. Also, I briefly touched on this earlier in the video, but you want to pay attention to how both babies nurse individually. If you have one baby who is a stronger feeder, that baby may not require as much support as the baby who is maybe really, really sleepy and requires a lot of stimulation. So you just want to make note of that. It's nice to use a feeding logbook or some type of app to keep track of the pees, the poops, and the feedings for the twins. This is very, very important because you want to make sure that the babies are nursing frequently enough, and it may get you know, confusing to remember all that information. So it's nice to have an app or a logbook where you can jot down that information and maybe jot down notes about the individual baby. So you could have the time the baby fed, how long the baby fed, which breast the baby fed from, and then a little note saying how that feeding went. So maybe baby, we'll say A and B, maybe baby B was sleepy at the breast and required a lot of stimulation. So you can keep a track of how things are going. Now, with that being said, babies typically nurse 8 to 12 times a day. That works out to about every 2 to 3 hours. So that's each baby feeding 8 to 12 times a day. It may benefit you to nurse the babies at the same time if you're able to, if you feel comfortable doing that. But there's no pressure as you learn what works best for you and your babies, okay? Twins do have a tendency to come earlier. So keeping that in mind, I just want to touch a little bit on prematurity and how that can affect the nursing process. When babies are born early, at 37 weeks, which is technically term, but it's early term, at 37 weeks or earlier, sometimes those babies tend to be a little extra sleepy. Newborn babies are sleepy in general, but these babies can just be a little extra tired. So they may require a little more stimulation at the breast. Some ways that you can stimulate your baby during feed are by rubbing the baby's back, tapping on the baby's toes. You could use your hands to compress your breast as the babies are nursing. And when you put some pressure on the breast in that way, you compress them, a little extra push of milk comes out. And that may encourage the babies to like, oh, you know, like keep going when they taste that. If they're really sleepy, they may wake up and feed. Skin to skin is also very beneficial when you're breastfeeding. It can help a sleepy baby to kind of wake up and realize what they're supposed to be doing at the breast. So definitely pull out all the tricks to help support your babies at the breast if they come a little earlier or if they're right at that borderline at 37 weeks. If you notice that your babies are not feeding well, or maybe one baby is not the strongest feeder, I want you to take a deep breath and let it go. It is okay. Remember, the most important things is that your babies are well, are fed, but in the event that your baby may require some formula supplementation, I want you to know that it is okay. Or maybe even supplementing with your own milk if that's an option, if you're able to express milk for your babies. It is okay. The most important thing is that your babies are fed and well and you're doing well, and you can continue to work on the breastfeeding. And I would encourage you, if that is the case, if you need some support with breastfeeding or one of the babies needs more support with breastfeeding, that you get in contact with your local IBCLC and you continue to develop a plan of care that will work best for you and the babies. There is a chance that if the baby is being fed from a bottle, that could affect nursing. Some babies do get frustrated at the flow of milk from the breast once they've gotten used to the bottle, because a bottle, just think about it, it falls into their mouth, okay? This is just something to keep in the back of the mind, something to be aware of. I believe that knowledge is power, so it's good to have understanding of just things that can happen. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that your babies are well and that you are well. And remember, you can continue working on the breastfeeding. It can be easy breezy for some people, and for some people it can be a challenge. But you do the best that you can with what you have and use your resources. So these are just a couple of tips that I have, some quick tips when it comes to nursing twins. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you would like more support, definitely feel free to reach out to me on my website, Nurse Bay Lactation, and that's B-A-Y for Bay. Follow me on Instagram at Nurse Bay Lactation. And let me know how you're feeling in the comments if you have questions, concerns, or suggestions for future videos. I really enjoyed spending this time with y'all today. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. I don't know if y'all can hear my neighbors. She has two beautiful little boys. But yeah, so With that being said, have a beautiful rest of your day. Sending you love and light.